My wife and I's intimacy isn't even close to what it used to be, and she is frustrated when I ask her for blowjobs and sex. We aren't on the same level physically, but we are on everything else. I just miss the physical. Am I the asshole? So that got me thinking that kind of like what we were just saying, that like guys and girls are kind of like turned on by different things. And I feel like maybe there's like a disconnect in what she finds intimate and what he does. So I thought we could talk about that.
Yeah, right out of the gates, I wonder if she feels used. Like if he's just like, we're supposed to have sex, so let's just when we hit the bedroom and I want a blowjob, and then from there they're not bridging the gap between like feelings and like loving a person and like wanting to feel intimate and having sex, because we're actually talking about right now like masturbating and doing things like that, which there's no emotional connection to. Mm-hmm. Like you're just checking a box because like you want to come, I guess, right? But then when we're talking about something very different of like intimacy with a partner, there's so much else that goes into that, which is like loving each other, touching each other, flirting, which we always talk about, and like that leads to the bedroom. So it would be interesting to hear from her, but that's my initial thought, is they're not bridging the gap.
Me too.
Yeah. He just misses the physical. Like he doesn't feel like there's a separation emotionally.
Correct. Like everything else is great, but
That's a big one. Okay.
I think that's the good news. That's the good news.
Yeah.
I think you got a big problem if you're missing the emotional connection, but if you have the emotional connection, great news, capitalize on it. Because all girls want is to feel loved and your hand held, or whatever her love language is. She wants that, and that translates into the bedroom.
I also, the way I'm thinking about this is, he doesn't seem to think that there's a gap in the emotional part, but she is. So he just needs to help fill her emotional gap, and then the physical will come.
Yeah, do you think he could even... I think some people would have a hard time with this, but I think it would be good if they sat each other down and she's like, or he says, I feel like emotionally we're connecting. I want to feel that intimacy translate into the bedroom. And she's like, no, you're not even asking me how my day is.
Yeah.
I don't feel like we're emotionally connecting. And then we get into the bedroom and you're like, fuck me. And I feel used and like I feel like a prop. And he's like, wait, what? Or she's like, I want you to take me to dinner. Like, it feels like, you're right. He's getting it. She's missed.
Yeah. And also, we don't know how long they've been married. Things change in a relationship. Routine is dangerous. And maybe he's just doing the same thing that they've always done. And she's like, that doesn't fulfill me emotionally anymore. So we need to change it up. But also, there needs to be more communication.
Yes, there does need to be more communication. And you're right. It's a miss, right? So, like, what we were just talking about, if a guy sends a dick pic, they're like, this is awesome. But on the receiving end of that, you're like, none of that turns me on. I really just want to have like a conversation with you. I want to feel loved. And I think your dick pic's ugly. Like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, I think guys are like, I gave her a gift. When guys send a dick pic, I think they're like, you're welcome. And we're like, I just get like a piece of long skin in my, like, that's the photo I'm getting. And when we send a photo, it's like a beautiful like silhouette of a body. And I feel like that's what this is. It's just like taking that concept and translating into emotions. And it's just like, maybe we don't feel the same because girls do operate a little different.
Do you think that love languages can change throughout life in a relationship? Like if physical touch was maybe you and, or I won't use physical touch. Let's say like acts of service was you and Grams in the beginning, but then over time it turned into quality time. Like, do you think that's possible?
Okay. I feel...
That could be it.
I feel like it's so possible, and I don't know that last week I would have ever answered it that way, but can I bring up the kid thing right now really quickly?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, it just fits here. But I've been thinking about like timelines of when to have a baby, and so then I've been thinking about ways that Graham and I communicate with each other, and I feel like when a new life situation arises, or like when something big happens as a couple and you get through it, or you like have to talk to each other about it, everything in the way you operate like shifts. So like my love language used to be, it still is physical touch, but like sometimes I'm noticing I need like more communication or like random acts of kindness. Like the more we get into things and the more we deal with. And I'm like, that's so interesting. Like it's changing. Then I'm like, why is it changing? And I'm like, because I'm changing. Like I'm starting to think of like, where do I want to put my roots down? When do I want to have a baby? And then things change. So I can only imagine when something big happened, when you had a kid or when you did move or when somebody got a new job, I would think your love language would change.
Yeah.
Because it's like how you're communicating with somebody. Has yours ever changed?
I haven't had a relationship in a long time, but I feel like it definitely could, because when you first start dating a person, you just want to be with them all the time. So it could be quality time or physical touch because you just want to be touching them all the time. But then as the relationship develops, maybe you need more affirmation or like reassurance that things are going okay. So it's going to be like words of affirmation. And then maybe you get married and have kids, so you need more acts of service. So I feel like it would be healthy for your love language to change over time with your partner.
Yeah, and maybe only natural.
But we have to remember, like, we aren't mind readers, so we have to communicate that to one another.
Gosh, I do think like that's so true. The communication aspect.
Yeah. I literally have to tell myself every day, Jordyn, you are not a mind reader. You cannot predict the future. So stop trying.
Like, name a scenario that we've encountered in life since we've known each other.
Last week.
Where communication wasn't the answer.
Oh, I thought you were going to say where we've predicted the future. I was last week in Nashville, actually.
Yeah, last week at the pizza place.
That was creepy.
That was crazy. But like communication, I feel like in every single scenario we're like, oh, well, if they just communicated and talked about it. And it's hard though. I actually think we can sit here and say that because we do communicate so often now. Mm-hmm. And it's like a hard habit to get into. But once you do it, like in this scenario of this couple, it's going to be a little awkward. You're going to have to sit down and be like, I want to be more intimate. For a guy to say that to a girl is going to be tough. Like, hey, honey, I want to be more intimate with you.
Yeah.
She's going to do is appreciate that and love it. And it's going to make things so much better. But I do think if communication is not your strong suit, it will be a bit awkward, but it will be so beneficial.
Yeah. And she needs to let him know that she's not being fulfilled emotionally and give him tips on how he can fulfill her emotionally, because like men and women, we don't know that. We aren't just born with like knowing what our partner needs.
Right. And he clearly thinks that he thinks there's something wrong emotionally.
Yeah.
Like that's what he's sitting there thinking. He wrote it in. And it's like,
yeah,
but
he doesn't get the difference, I feel.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking about like times I'm so excited to have sex, and it's like it starts in the morning. You know what I mean? It starts like when like he tells me I look pretty, when he holds my hand, like he makes me a sandwich. Like, you know what I mean? It's like all these like little things of like intimate, non-sexual things that like just makes you know someone cares about you. Like grabs my ass. Do you know what I mean? Like, and guys are just like, oh, it's 8:30 and I'm horny. Like, that's not how women operate.
Well, and also, like, think about the way you fall in love with someone or you start to like someone. It's usually, like, the little things that they do. Like, oh, he remembered this about me. Or, oh, he asked about my day. Or he checks in on me or says good morning. Like, little things. And that turns into bigger and bigger things. But most people aren't like, the sex was so great, I'm in love. You know what I mean? No. It's like, no, it's like all these cute little emotional things that lead to bigger things.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. And none of those things, it's funny that we as humans reserve sex for nighttime, like late at night, because you're right. In the morning, I am the most turned on. I'm in the best mood. I'm in the best headspace, the middle of the day even. But to go home, like once we've like wound down, brushed your teeth, then to like have sex and then go to bed actually kind of seems backwards. Like you'd think you would put sex at any other time of the day besides night.
Wait, that's actually so true.
I almost think nighttime sex is a result of a buildup of like emotion all day.
Yeah.
The like morning and afternoon sex is like, that's when it's like on the spot, like, oh, you just turned me on for some reason. But when it's at night, it's like, because all day, like you've been doing these things that makes me like attracted to you. Yeah. So I want to express that.
And don't you want to have sex when your brain is the most functional? And like for me, I'm a morning person, so between 6 a.m. My app says between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. I'm my most like my best self.